Now, to officially start things off, it is our pleasure to invite Dr. Juan Dabdoub to the stage for his plenary talk on designing schools for character. Let's all give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much. Ren. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us in this presentation. I was thinking about what to do today because we have already presented this session on the pre-conference, and yesterday we did half of it. So we've been discussing this and we decided to continue where we stopped yesterday. No? So that everyone who was yesterday is not hearing the same thing over again. And we also think that we're going to make a brief summary of what we see yesterday, and maybe this can also help for the new attendants to follow up on what we were presenting. So we talk about good character. We want our students to have good character, to be good persons, to be responsible citizens. And this was a slide in which we tried to describe the goals that we're trying to achieve. No? We want people that care about the ones who are around them, not indifferent to anyone being left behind. We want them not to be dominated by the haste or the many things that need to be done. We want them to be serene, to listen, to transmit peace. We want them to speak their mind, combining courage with prudence, and not remaining silent or indifferent when facing injustice. We want their life purpose to be aligned with what they do, with their job, with their work, and trying to contribute to the common good. We want them to know that their opinions and solutions are not the only ones, not necessarily the best. They're willing to collaborate with others to find what will be better. Of course, it's a pleasure to spend time with them. This is another dimension. We enjoy sharing and spending time in conversations, and they're kind, they're nice, they're friendly. Doing their job well, doing a good job, a good work is an essential part of their vocation, of their call, of their life. And finally, what moves these children or these adults is who they are, their identity and integrity. They are not moved on punishments or threats or rewards or recognitions. They don't need to be watched to comply. These are people who can be trusted. So in general, I think that every parent will agree that this is what we're looking, no? This is really important for us. Of course, academics are also very important, no? But maybe this is a question that we can think and discuss at the end of this presentation. If you had to choose between this and being a very smart child, very good at math, very good at science, very good at engineering, which one would you choose? The other thing that we discussed yesterday is like, hey, we saw that it was very important to create a culture that nourishes, that nurtures this kind of character. And the best way in which we described that culture was like this. Hey, is our school, this is a question that we can ask ourselves as maybe also, I've been told that there's a lot of parents today. Is this true? Can you raise your hand if you're a parent of a school? Yes. Okay, we have. All of you are in the left. You decided, no, choose the left side. What kind of school do we have? Maybe also what kind of family do we have? Is our family or our school a place where people care for one another with designated times and spaces and activities to meet and share? Is this part of our ordinary life? Is our school or family a place in which there's time for reading, for reflection, for conversation, or we're always in a hurry? We're always doing more things. Everything can be discussed, every voice can be heard, and decisions can be made collaboratively with all the stakeholders. By this, I don't mean that everyone has to decide everything. I mean that there are many things that we can discuss, and maybe we can agree on something. Absenteeism is not an issue. People come to work because they enjoy what they do and they find satisfaction in it. Teachers and staff typically collaborate, working together with openness to learning from one another. It's not that everyone is just looking out for themselves or doing just their thing and it doesn't matter what the others do. We're invested in the rest of the people that form part of our community. The veteran students support the new ones, and they take pride in caring for them, in helping them, or even in serving them. And instead of admiring people who cheat or who go to the easy path, we admire integrity. We admire students who do a good job. We want to be like them. And finally, is our school a place in which, what motivates people stem from their identity and integrity? It's a community in which we feel trusted and we are trusted. And again, we said yesterday, a lot of leaders want to prevent risk at any chance. The problem about avoiding or destroying any chance for risk is that it's very hard for trust to exist if there is no risk. Because if there's no risk, what are we trusting? So sometimes if we as leaders, or maybe as parents, if we avoid any chance of any risk, implicitly and sometimes explicitly, what we're saying is, we don't trust you. That's why we cannot take any risks. And finally, the idea that we saw yesterday we did tell a joke that I'm not going to repeat because it's a very bad joke, about the light and the darkness with the keys. We see that a lot of leaders are trying to build this culture by doing the things that are below the light, doing more things, or finding a different method, or having more money, or selecting better families, teachers, children, or improving the communication, or the message, or the words that we have. And I cannot go through this all over again, but we saw that if we want to build this culture, what we need is to promote identity, relationships, integrity, motivation, service, trust, peace. And it's really hard to achieve these ones by doing what is below the light. What we will be discussing on the training that we have next week is precisely how to promote this. And I think this quote was worth it to put it again because it was one of that was the presentation that we had yesterday on a video about Tom Licona. And the single most powerful tool that we have to impact a student's character is our own character. A lot of people told us we're more worried about the character of the teachers or the staff or the principals than the character of the children. But we believe that either our teachers are okay, or the parents are okay, or it will be very hard for teachers or parents to help the children to be okay. Either the teachers are cultivating a good character, or they won't be able to help children on their journey to cultivate a good character. If our teachers are not growing as a person in their jobs, it will be very hard for them to help children to grow as a person on their work. So following up, this was just a brief summary from yesterday. The fifth idea, something that Father Esteban de Saz was mentioning the other day, I think is a very similar idea. The seed approach. This is another way of seeing education or of seeing formation. I believe that a seed, it's a mystery. Nowadays, it's still a mystery because a seed is capable of putting together soil and water and turning it into an apple or a banana or what's the name of this purple fruit that we have now? The ube, turning it into an ube, baby. So, and there's no technology right now. There's no artificial intelligence that is able to turn soil and water into a fruit or a vegetable. It's a mystery. Maybe one day we will be able to solve it, but right now it's not in our hands. What we do know and we have become really good at through the generations is finding out which are the best conditions that we can gather around the seed for it to grow, to flourish, to bear fruit. We're really good at that, But we don't know what the seed has to do. That's a mystery. I think we can do a parallelism with what happened with people, with persons. Do we know what do people have to do with their lives in order to flourish, to become who they are, to become the person who they're called to be, to become the best version of themselves? I don't think we do. I believe that's a task that each one of us has to work out through our lives. And if someone is trying to tell us, it's like asking someone else to live your life in your behalf. And that's not healthy. in any way. So I believe that what we have to do to promote formation, or by promote the growth of our students, or our parents, or our teachers, or the principals, is not by telling them what to do with their lives. It's trying, or maybe we can share some of the knowledge that we have from our own experience. That can be done. But mostly the most important thing, I think, would be to gather the best conditions that we can around them so that they can flourish. Something similar to the conditions that we saw before of a good culture. I usually put this picture. This is the Camino de Santiago in Pamplona, University of Navarra. You're all invited anytime you want. It's full of sunflowers, since the beginning of May until August. It's full of and the conditions that we have in Pamplona are really good for sunflowers, It's amazing, It's full of them. However, if we planted a seed of sunflower in Siberia or in the Patagonia, it wouldn't grow. And if it would grow, it would decay suddenly and it would die. It wouldn't flourish, it wouldn't bear fruit. And I use this image because sometimes, have you ever seen a child that is like this? Yeah, I think if we're educators, sometimes we have seen, or even at the university level, you can find young men and young women that are all like this. And usually educators are pretty hasty, saying they didn't have enough willpower. They didn't desire to flourish. Or maybe sometimes they even say, they have not understood. We have not explained them pretty well what does flourishing means. As if it was a problem of understanding, what would save them from this awful destiny. And I'm not saying that it is important to share what a good life, to tell people what a good life consists on, and maybe from a very Aristotelian point of view in talking about virtues. But usually if you find a child or a person who is like this, most of the times it's because of the conditions that they were living on. Not because they didn't know, why is this flower like this? Well, because it's in a place that it has sun, that it has a good soil, that it has water, the right temperature, it's fine. What does a child need to flourish? If you're in a school in which you're loved, and you can love the people, if people is important for you, you're important for the rest of them, you're not forced into doing things that you don't want to, they can't with you, you can have initiative, you feel respected. That's pretty much it. You don't need a lot of more things in order for you to flourish. I'm not denying that freedom exists, okay? And I know that even if we are in the best conditions ever, people can freely choose to throw their life into the trash. But that's not usually the case. If we are in a nice place with nice people and they treat us nicely, we flourish. Sixth idea. So then, if we're trying to build this, we're trying to promote character and we're trying to create this culture, what research shows us is that we should focus on design principles. So I'm going to explain this idea. By design principles, we've seen a lot of, many of the things that you're already doing in Paref schools, like service learning. Service learning is an evidence-based practice that shows that it can help to promote good character, and also improve academic grades, so that's amazing, Mentoring is another evidence-based practice that shows that it can help to promote good character. Having a virtuous curriculum, it's also something that can contribute, that it can help, However, if you look closely to the research, you will find that sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we have mentoring programs that fail. Sometimes we have service learning activities that fail. Sometimes we have community service, academic curriculum, that fail. And this made Marvin and his team in 2005 to question themselves and says, well, if it's an evidence-based practice, it means that it has worked many times in many places, okay? So that's worth saying. However, what are the necessary conditions for it to work? And what they found is that we should start focusing more on who we are, why we do things and how we do them, than on what we do. A lot of principals ask us, a lot of teachers or many parents ask us, what do we have to do to promote character education? What do we have to start doing on Monday, for it to work? Or what do we have to start doing next year? And what we usually answer them is like, well, what you're already doing. It might be enough. You don't have to do more things. I mean, if you have a better program or a better strategy, it's fine. You can start with it. It doesn't matter that much. I think there are better activities than others. That's fine. But the most important thing, the essential thing, is who we are, why we do things, and how we do them. And this can also lead to something that I think might be very much interesting for teachers mostly, for principals, and maybe also for parents. A lot of people is focusing on doing extraordinary things to promote character education. The problem about doing extraordinary things is that you have to do more things. And maybe you're the first schools that I found in the world that say, hey, we have a lot of free time. Give us more things to do. No, we don't have enough work. Come on, bring it on. So what we are inviting you to do is focusing on redesigning the ordinary things. The things that we are already doing, and maybe the things that we cannot stop doing. You're going to have class. You're going to have math class. You're going to have English class. You're going to have science class. You're going to have recess. You're going to have sports. You're going to have cultural retreats. You're going to have celebrations. You're going to celebrate Father's Day. They told me Father's Day is a very important thing in Southridge, no? And maybe Mother Schools is an important day in Woodrose. Let's provide all these ordinary things with intentionality and strategy to promote the growth of people. No? So the thing is that when we, as we told yesterday when we go on our trips, they told us that people are out doing all these things to promote character education. What they usually never tell us, is, hey, what are we doing to promote character education? Math class. That's where our children grow in character, in the math class. In the science project. That's where they grow as a person, by doing a good job on their science project. In the bus. In the bus is where they develop relationships. And they develop their social virtues. In sports, faculty meetings. Faculty meetings sometimes are the worst experience for a teacher and for a principal. It's where they're, come on again, Or it could be the most empowering meeting in which we left like with energy and with dreams and initiative of what we want to do. It will depend on how it is designed. Christmas celebration, recess, the problems that we have. I mean, if we're with children and we're in a school, we're going to have fights. We're going to have problems. A lot of people is trying to avoid them and make them disappear. You can consider them as an opportunity. Because we grow a lot by solving our differences and learning how to, that can be an opportunity or not. So, again, I know that I'm not saying how to redesign these things because it takes a lot of time. That's what we do in this 40-hour training that we have a week long. But this is an invitation not to think differently on how do we promote this kind of education. So yesterday we saw the 11 principles of effective character education. I think this is a long run. Marvin, who is the author of Prime, was also part of the authors of the 11 principles with Tom Licona, with Kevin Ryan, with Karen Bowling, and a lot of other people. This is more recent. Prime is from 2015. And these are 6 design principles that we're going to be reviewing next week. And this is an invitation, I insist, on not doing more things, but these are design principles that you should consider in any practice that you're already doing in a school, in any strategy, in any service, product, or whatever you're trying to achieve. Number 7, character education is not an option. A lot of people tell us now when we're at the end of our presentation or at the end of our courses, do we really need to begin doing character education? Is this really needed? And we usually tell them, hey, this is not the right question. Because this is something that you cannot avoid. This is something that you are already doing, whether you want it, whether you're doing intentionally and strategically or not. Wherever there's a child that is close to an adult, that adult is going to have some influence in the development of that child. And if it's an adult as a teacher that has such a close relationship in which they sometimes spend more time with them than with their parents, whoa, that's a huge influence on them, no? If you ever have a chance to read this book, The Courage to Teach, no? I mentioned it 2 days ago, and I think Ashley was there. You already read it, no? Maybe you can share your testimony about the book. I think it's one of the best books of the last 30 years. It's not a very practical book, like what to do the next day in the classroom, but it really reaches like the core of the problems and challenges that we have, and it has a really good language to explain why is this happening. So I think we bought more than 1,000 copies of this book, and we distribute it all around the world, and this is one of the best book clubs that we have ever had. No? Like 15 book clubs, talking with teachers, with university teachers, with teachers from schools, with students, and so on. The first sentence of the book is, we teach who we are. You might be teaching math, you might be teaching social sciences, you might be teaching soccer. You cannot avoid to teach, to show who you are. You can pretend a little bit the first week, the second week, but children are really smart. They will see through you. They will get to know you. And who you are is going to make a huge impact in them. Marvin insists, no, you cannot not educate for character. There is no off switch for character education. No? So it's becoming aware of this is not something that can be avoided. And this is when this can become a little bit uncomfortable, for the ones that we are teachers or principals, or maybe parents too. There are some character flaws. I would like you to think about a person that you love very much. Maybe your brother, your sister, maybe a really close friend. And surely you will have met with some of them that have character flaws. And maybe you feel in the position that you should tell them, hey, you need to work on this, you need to improve this. This is, come on. So imagine telling a very close friend, a brother, a sister, a friend, hey, you need to be more humble. You don't listen. You should listen more. You don't trust people around you. You're a perfectionist. You're a little bit paternalistic, or you try to force people to do your will. You don't forgive, really. You don't forgive and you don't forget. You need to control everything. You're a controller, a micromanager. So this is really hard to tell, even to someone that is very close and loved by us. However, I invite you to think, imagine telling this to your boss. Or imagine a student telling this to their teacher. Or imagine a child telling this to their parents. Maybe in adolescence. In adolescence, they feel more free to say these things. The thing is that I don't think these are character flaws of teachers or of principals. I think everyone has these problems sometimes in their lives. However, because of the position that we have, it's really hard for us to become aware. Because the only people who are seeing us manifest this character are the ones who cannot. The culture in which we are is a culture in which is really hard for us to talk about the things that are important for us, things like this. However, we've seen cultures in which this can be done easily in an organical way, and it's not a huge drama if we talk about these things. However, we need to build this culture. And this is where the paradigm of communication or the message really, I think, breaks. For all the people who is always telling, no, this is a communication problem. We need to explain it furtherly. We need to be more strategic in the videos that we make so that people really understand us. Your actions speak so loudly that I cannot hear what you're saying. The life that we're sharing in a community, the life that we share in a family, the life that we share in a classroom already speaks loudly enough. And if the message that you have is not saying the same thing as the life that we're sharing, maybe it's better that you don't say any message at all. Because then people would say, you're a hypocrite. You know? Or maybe they will say, well, these are nice wishes. You know? This is something that will be very nice, but it's not real. You know? And people become cynical about this kind of message. 8, I have 9 ideas, by the way. This is the previous to the last one. The leader plays a key role. If we're doing a backwards design on what we're trying to achieve, and we begin with the end, and we're trying to see which steps do we have to take to create this, we have seen during the previous day and this day, hey, we want to promote the character development of students. For this, we've seen that it's important to generate a culture, a climate, or an ethos in the school. This is necessary and maybe even sufficient. For this, we've seen that it's really important to design the ordinary things of a community according to certain principles. What is the key element in a community that can decide or that can have power over the design of the ordinary elements of a school? I think you will agree with me that is the teacher. The teacher, the leader. No? This is not something that can be achieved by a teacher. A teacher has power and authority to design what happens in their classrooms. But they don't have the power, authority, or the vision to see what has to be done with the relationships among the staff, the relationship with families, the interaction between students, the projects, the rankings, or any other thing that we're trying to promote in a school. This is why we focus first on leaders. We need to begin here. Even though the relevance of a teacher in a school is really important. Even though the role of the families have in a school is really important. But if we want to begin this, we think it's important to begin with the leaders. And finally, there's no magic recipe. This is another thing. A lot of people tell us, no, tell me what do I have to do? Or tell us what we have to do. And we don't know. We'll see. What we have done in other schools to promote their culture, or to promote character development is not the same thing that you have to do in your school, or not necessarily. Each community has its own problems, resources, and challenges. And what needs to be done there to promote a good culture and promote character development or growth as a person is a particular solution, not a general one. We need to find out what's necessary here. And that solution must be flexible enough to adapt to a rapidly changing world. However, what we usually find is precisely the contrary. What we usually find is school administrators from the public system or from a network of schools that says, hey, this is what all the 30 schools of the network are going to be doing for the next 5 years. A strategy 2025-2030. We have already decided this, and it's over. And it usually doesn't work. You have to step back and try it again. And I insist, maybe this is really good for one of your schools, for 5 of your schools, maybe for half of it, but not for all of them. Because it's really hard to find something that will work for everyone at the same time. No? I want to give an example that we found in Spain. Maybe you're familiarized with this Great Books Academy. No? This project in which, hey, let's read Quixote, of course. We need to read the Quixote, no? The Jungle Book, the Sea Wolf, the Don White Fang, The Last of the Mohicans. Let's read the great books of all history of humankind so they can inspire us and transform our lives. Okay, this is a very classical education point of view. No, there was the principal of a school back in Spain. Her name is Maria. And she told us like, hey, Juan Pablo, the school network have asked all the 6, 7 schools of the network to start doing this program. We have to send someone to the United States to go to this wonderful school in Washington to learn from this Great Works program and then come back and start implementing this in 6 months. We have 6 months under this. Is a huge investment for us. And we're having a lot of trouble here. Is it worth it? Should we do it? What do you think? Is this really going to work? And I told her like, hey, we don't usually like telling people what they have to do, no? So we, on the other hand, we ask uncomfortable questions, no? So we told Maria, your teachers read. Your teachers have time to read, like in general. What do you think? And she said, well, no. They have a lot of things to do. They're always complaining that there's a lot of classes that they don't have time to spend with their families, and so on and so on. Hey, Maria, and do you think your teachers, have they read the great books? Do you think they're going to? She said, no, I don't think so. Maybe Harry Potter, maybe the Hunger Games, no. But not quite fun, no. Okay. Maria, your leadership teams, no? The director of formation, have they read the great books? No, we have a lot of things to do, and we have to supervise, and we have to go on, and the family, and pick up the children, and going back. There's a lot of things to do. And Maria, do you read? We know her. She's our friend, and we know that you have a lot of things to do. She previously, before being the principal, she was the director of a turbine company for airplanes. No, she was a very busy woman, and so I told Maria, don't you think there's something odd about this? No, you're trying to make children achieve something that not even the adults in your school have achieved. No, isn't there something weird about it? What do you think? And also, we know your school, Maria. We know the troubles that you have. We know that there are many complaints about the workload that teachers have. And do you think that in this scenario, you're going to go with them and tell them, hey, by the way, before we go on vacation in summer, remember that you have to read the great books? When you're in the beach, you have to read the Quixote, you know? So when you come back, you can deliver these seminars. And by the way, there are going to be some extra classes because this methodology demands that you have small groups, you know? So we have to work 1 more hour per day or whatever. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not criticizing the program. I think the program is great. But you need to find out if you have the right conditions for it to flourish. We have to stop now. Just 1 minute, I finish the story and that's it. The school that we met in Washington that is doing this and that is having a great success is a school in which all of them are rich children. Rich children. The school costs like double the price that people pay for go to university in Spain. You know? A private university. So most of these children have books in their homes. Most of the parents in the schools in Spain, they don't have a lot of books in their homes because this is something that is more often right now. Because this is the culture in which we're no. A lot of these teachers have PhD. In the U.S., in the School of Washington, all of the teachers had a PhD in Harvard, in Stanford, and many of them have made their PhD on the great books. They love to read. This is what they live for. They're very enthusiastic about it. They do a great job doing that. None of the teachers back in Spain had a PhD. Some of them had masters, but not that. And they win like 3 times what they win over there in Spain. So, hey, in these conditions, it makes a lot of sense to do the Great Works, the Great Books Academy. But if you don't have them, no, it doesn't make a lot of sense. We need to find out. I don't deny that we should try in every school to try children read. But maybe we have to start with Harry Potter or the Hunger Games and go step by step into something more. We'll see. They're telling me that we have to finish. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, Cristina. Do I stay here or do I... It's over. Nope.
Thank you, Dr. Dabdoub. And with that, we officially begin the second day of the Building Bridges Conference.
Thank you everyone for joining us for today's opening. You may now proceed to your breakout sessions.